Thanks for tuning in to find out what the top 3 stretches are in order to make your posture better. So we're talking about active sitting here, right? And so with sitting, you are in a position for a long time, right? With your hips bent and your back probably forward, you're typing on your computer, on your phone, writing, something like that, right? And so what happens during that is that there's muscles that get really, really tight. So in order to counterbalance them, we're gonna focus on 3 main muscles. They are the pec, the hip flexors, and the lat, okay? So the pec muscles get really, really tight because they get shortened because when you're typing and writing and stuff like that, everything here, this shoulder tends to pull forward because you have to pull towards the middle, right? And so the pec stretch, which is a way that you can loosen up those muscles, is usually done in a door. There's some other active ways you can do it using a butterfly stretch, with your hands behind here and stretching, going backwards, and a couple of different other options to help open up this pec muscle right here. The second stretch that is very, very important is around the hips. And it's the hip flexor, right? The hip flexor attaches from the back all the way to the hip. And when you're sitting for a long time, it stays super short. And when it's too short for too long, then some of your leg muscles and then your back and all that don't function very well. So we want to balance that out. And so in order to stretch the hip flexor, you can do this in a sitting position. You can do this in a half kneeling position, or you can do it laying on your back or face down. Sometimes a hip flexor stretch can also be known as like a quad stretch. That kind of gets into there just a little bit. But whatever you do, you got to pick some sort of hip flexor stretch in order to stretch the front side of your hips. Right? Without stretching the front side of your hips, then your sitting position just gets tighter and tighter, and you might even end up like an little old woman or something like that, or man. And so the third stretch that I think is the most underrated stretch out there is the lat stretch. So the lat stretch, often known as like a swimmer stretch, stuff like that. It's like where those swimmer guys, swimmer people, I should say, build out this muscle right here on the side. And it goes from your shoulder in there all the way down to your hip here, okay? And these muscles can get really, really, really tight and therefore cause some pain in the shoulder, and cause some tension in the shoulder blades and get those to not work very well. And in order to stretch that, I think that one of the best ways is being able to pull them up and out, usually against like a door frame. Again, I like the door frame a lot. It's one of my favorite tools to use because you can do it anywhere in the world. You can always find a door or just a skinny pole of some sort to push and pull against. And yeah, so that's the big secret is right there. And so if you ever pick one stretch to do that's gonna help you out the most, I would probably pick the lat stretch because that's the biggest bang for your buck, the one that you never do, and your body's gonna thank you a million times if you do it. So if you wanna learn how to do it, keep following and I'll show you. All right, peace out.